In these videos, we will go into this 3D in Illustrator and Photoshop M&Ms project folder, and using Illustrator and Photoshop, we will follow this tutorial and create an avalanche of M&Ms that is inspired by a billboard in Times Square created by the author of this tutorial, Bert Monroy. The finished piece that was in Times Square is presented here, and you will see that it is an avalanche of M&Ms. Let's get started. Please launch Illustrator and go to File, New, and keep it 8.5 by 11 inches, portrait orientation, and hit Create. For this lesson, you will need to have your Layers panel and of course your Swatches panel, and to facilitate our drawing of the M&M, go to View, Show Grid. Command plus, I'll go close up so you can see what I'm going to do. Everyone go to the pen tool, and we're going to make the cross section of half an M&M. And you're going to click on one of the intersections of the grid, then bring your mouse down. I'm going down 3 squares of the grid. Now I'm going to click and hold my mouse down and pull straight down to create a curved point. I release the mouse, and then I'm going to complete the intersection directly underneath the first point, like so. I'm going to go to the selection tool, and I want each one of you to color the stroke and the fill any color you'd like. I'm going to start this one, I'll color it blue stroke, and I'm going to color the fill the same blue. While you are in the selection tool, the black arrow, go to Effect, 3D, and Revolve. In this dialog box, you have to make sure that we go down here to Revolve Offset, and it says from left edge, make this into right edge. And as with all of these dialog boxes, if you hit the preview button on the lower left corner, it shows you what this appearance will be. And I want you to uncheck the preview. Now take your mouse and play with the cube that is in the top left quadrant, like so, and then hit the preview again, and you'll see that you have rotated the M&M. Now this particular 3D Revolve, as with all of the 3D dialog boxes, if you click more options, it gives you control of different lighting situations for the object. I just wanted to point this out to you because this is just an introduction, but I want you to be aware of all of the properties that you can control when you're working in here. Now I'm going to go fewer options, and at this point I'm just going to keep the M&M like it is right now. Just keep in mind that it will not work unless it comes from the right edge. Now click OK, and you have your first M&M. Now the next issue that we have to do, take your black arrow, your selection tool, point your mouse to the path, hold down the Option, and clone and make another one. Then hold down the Option again, like we did in other tutorials, and I'll go one more time. Okay, now we must change the rotation and the view of each of the M&Ms as we build for this one particular layer. Now I'm going to start with this one, and in order for you to do this, you must go to Window, Appearance, and you'll see that the appearance will have this 3D revolve button here. Click on that and it will bring up the box that you originally created the form. Now here is where you simply rotate this around, and again, it's a good practice for you to learn how to deal with 3D space on the computer. And you hit the preview button and you can see if you made it look different than the original one. That's perfectly okay, and now I'm going to hit OK. Next thing, you go to the next one and change that as well. You click the 3D revolve, and I repeat, you must be in the appearance panel to do this. If you are not in the appearance panel, you will find that if you return to the original 3D revolve panel, it will take forever and it will slow you down to a halt. So you must use the appearance panel in order to alter the orientation of each one of your M&Ms. So you click on the 3D revolve and try to change this as much as you want. And click the preview, and that's too close to the first one, so I'm going to uncheck the preview and go back this way. And as you hover your mouse on this proxy, which is giving you an idea of how the form is in space, I want you to hit the preview again. Not too bad. Let's try it one more time. And I'm going to take this and spin it this way, hit the preview. Okay, I'm going to keep it that way, and I'm going to go OK. Now I'll go to the next one, and finally we're going to make this look a little bit different than the other ones. Keep in mind that we're trying to create a random avalanche of these M&Ms, as though someone just opened the bag and poured them down. And I'm clicking on the revolve, and I'll go like this, take this here, let's see what that looks like. That's a little close to this one, so I'm going to go here, and as you notice, I'm leaving preview on. As I move the form, it shows you the wireframe image of the object, and this is the foundation of all 3D work. When you're working on a computer, the 3D modeling programs all incorporate this wireframe view, which makes it much easier to redraw what you're doing. So let's take this one like that. That's very good. And now I'm going to click OK. However, before I do that, I just want to point out under Surface, you notice right now we're looking at plastic shading, it's called. If we go to wireframe, it shows you what that particular one, the selected object, is wireframe. The other ones say no shading, and these are different things that you should be aware of when you're working in 3D. All right, let's go back to plastic shading, like that. And I'm going to click OK, and now we have 4 pieces, 4 M&Ms. And I'm going to double click the layer and call this blue and hit return or enter if you're on a PC. Now, next thing we're going to do is copy select all of the M&Ms on our blue layer. So go Command or Control A, and actually we don't have to do that. So let's click outside, point to your blue layer, drag it down to the new layer button, and we're going to make this one, double click this one, and call it, I'm going to call this one red, and hit return. Now in the red layer, I'm going to lock the blue, and while the red is in view, I select all. Now keep in mind, this is a copy of the blue layer, but now we want to change its fill to red and change the stroke. Bring the stroke in the front and make that red, like so. So now you can click outside, and we can keep the blue one locked. So we're going to take the red layer, and let's move this over. I'm going to take each one of these pieces, and you're going to move them so that you're going to move them, and you're going to change their orientation, their rotation, so that they appear that they're not, we don't want people to think that this is the exact same layer as the first layer. So we're going to take the first red one, and I'll move this one down here somewhere, and we're going to click 3D Revolve and spin this one. Take a look at the preview like that, and excuse me. All right. And then we hit OK. You then take the next one and go to your 3D Revolve and change this orientation. Hit the preview. That's fine, and go OK. I'm going to move this one slightly up here, and then we're going to go to the third one, move it over here, hit the 3D Revolve, and we're going to orient this slightly different. Hit the preview, and let's go this way more. And hit OK. So we take, I'm going to move this one over, put it over here. And finally, the last one, we'll move it out of the way. And we go to the 3D Revolve in the Appearance panel, and you alter this way, hit the preview, and that's not bad, and we'll go down like this a little bit more, a little bit more this way, and we're going to click OK. Now at this point, go to File, Save As, and call this M&Ms, and make sure you put it in a folder where you can locate it. And this is an Illustrator document. We're keeping the Illustrator format. And I'll do the same. File, Save As, and we'll call this M&Ms, and hit Save. Okay, at this point, I want you to, we're going to close out of this tutorial, and I'd like you to proceed and make 2 more layers and change the orientation so that when we come back, you should have 4 layers 4 different colors of M&Ms before we start the next step in the process.